Welcome to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden, your host. Glad you could join me. Should be a very interesting and enlightening discussion today. You tell me in my annual survey that the most important thing we can do to preserve our sport is to recruit new hunters. Well, we're going to take a tutorial on that from two of the experts. Ashley Chance joins me from Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever, and Justin Morrisey comes on from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. That's what these folks do all day for their respective groups, and we're going to they're going to take us to school. So if you're ready to recruit a new hunter from the family, from a neighborhood, or anywhere else, they'll give you the step-by-step ways to do it. In our Fix It segment, we'll take a shooting lesson, or at least a philosophical exploration on how there are times when you need to stop thinking and start shooting better. And then I asked you online what words you use when you're giving commands to your dog. So I got some great suggestions, so we'll talk about that as well. It's all made possible by Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, TrulockChokes tubes, Purina Pro Plan Sport dog food, Sage and Breaker gun care products, RuffLand dog kennels, pointer shotguns, and HiViz sights. Well, I've talked a lot about simulating covey rises with my training pigeons for flick. And I hit on something that you might be able to use as well. So consider this. If you don't have a bunch of bird launchers, or you don't subscribe to my milk crate theory, here's something that might pay off for you. It's paying off for me for a couple of reasons. You got bird bags, you know, the kind you sling over your shoulder. They got kind of a spring opening at the top. You can spring it open and leave it open so you can shove a bird in there or take a bird out, then you can clamp it closed again. Well, I'm loading up 2 or 3 of those with 2 or 3 birds each in those, and hiding them in the field. They're ventilated well. That's the whole idea. You want your birds to stay alive. So I'll hide them. The bird scent is dispersed pretty well. Give it a few minutes to marinate out there. And then a dog that's pretty steady to begin with. You can't do this with unsteady dogs because they'll just run in and grab the bag. But if your dog is steady at all, you can either check cord him from there, give him the whoa command if that's your style, or you can just walk in, and that's what I'm doing. Walk in, open one of those bags. Leave it on the ground, open it, walk away, or stand there. The bird will eventually figure out it's time to walk away from that bag and go fly. And then the next one will say, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Go back, do the same on the next bag, and the next bag if you have one. It's kind of the ultimate popcorn flush without any mechanical devices that may or may not be in your budget. Sometimes they all rush out at once, sometimes they take a while, but that's the joy of it. It's random and it works. Next time you're out there and you got no other way to do that, try a couple bird bags. And then your comments regarding command words, very enlightening to me, and a bunch of others apparently, very popular topic. Joe Rundell says, a trainer told me he uses here instead of come. And I've done that with all my dogs as well. I was always told that you can yell it louder. And that works for me. Joe, we must be brothers from another mother. Joe also uses easy for the dog to relocate. And okay releases them. I've skipped okay from now on. I use all right. It's a little bit less familiar, and it's a little bit, it doesn't conflict with any of my other command words. Andy McCormick, yeah, and maybe this year we'll finally get to do it together. Here, not come. Cuts through the air much better. Yeah, whole point. Yeah. Miles Burdett says hold instead of whoa. Whoa sounds a lot like no. Yeah, that's why I don't use no. Miles. Michael McDougall says, okay is used in conversation too much. And we've all done that. That's why I don't use it either. And I've released my dog unintentionally. So, yeah, be careful what you're saying to your hunting partner when you're out in the field, or your training partner. Casey Wagner, yeah. I use here, whoa, dead, and fetch. Is our no. Learned that from one of the founders of NAVDA, Bodo Winterheld. Thank you very much. Wait instead of whoa for BJ Gagari. I hope I said that right, BJ. Yeah, a lot of the retriever guys do this too. Kent Baxter says, I use the dog's name as a release from a point, and then easy to slow the creep on a running bird. I think I've mentioned before, some of the French breeds and breed training programs use the word couler to let the dog kind of relocate / creep on the birds if they're running, that sort of thing. Great story. I've had all 3 of my dogs on Huns and able to move different dogs up to pin the birds. Kent, that must have been a cool experience. Good stuff. I whistle trained my first dog, Brian Hansen says, to come back to me with 2 pips. Hey, me too. When hunting alone, it was flawless. However, when hunting with other dog owners who also used whistles, my dog was so confused. Yeah, I remember back when I was doing every kind of field trial and hunt test just to be able to understand them better. I ran an AKC foot-based hunting test. No, it was a real field trial, I guess, now that I think about it. And the other dog's owner and I had the same whistle commands. She got on my back because my dog was doing what her dog was doing, and vice versa, and all of this throughout about the first 4 minutes. I finally turned to her and said, lady, shut up and handle your dog. Sure enough, within 60 seconds, the judges said, lady, pick up that dog. And that was the end of that. Happy ending for us, but not for her. Yeah, Michael Agelio. Michael, someday I'll get it right. Maybe I should start wearing my reading glasses. Does blah, 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 beep, beep, all of that stuff. Over here, count. No, but we all do share the same first name for our dogs. Before every command, I use it. It's damn it. Anyway, great stuff. If you haven't heard your own name there, it's because we're running out of time, but some great stuff in there. And something that might give you pause if you're just redefining your lexicon with your new dog, or maybe it's time to just fix some of the miscommunications you think have been happening. Go to the social pages and take a look at those suggestions. It's all made possible by RuffLand Kennels, the ultimate travel system. Everything from dog bowls to top trays for storing your own gear, water storage of all sorts, plus the most carefully and intentionally designed kennels, dog crates, that I've ever had. And I've had them all. These doors don't rattle. They're chew-proof. You can get one on the side if you need that for the way your rig is configured. Easy to clean, and if you're so inclined of the fashion nature, new colors all the time, and always great accessories. Learn more at RuffLandKennels.com. I've talked a lot about the Pointer Shotguns catalog. Of course, that's not all that's in there. The parent company is Legacy Sports. They've got several other firearms brands in there, including the Howa rifles. So if you're so inclined, that's in there as well. Just go to the website, pointershotguns.com. Go to the upper left. There's a tab there. It says 2025 catalog. Click on that. You'll figure out how to order one. They'll send it to you free. It's right there. Leave it on the coffee table. Maybe for your next birthday or Christmas present, somebody will get the hint. Or head on down to any of these in-stock dealers. They've always got Pointer shotguns. Bass Pro, Sportsman's Warehouse, Cabela's, and Turner's Outdoorsman. Learn more at pointershotguns.com. Well, when I survey you every year, thank you if you take the survey. Sure appreciate that. It's a long one, but it comes in handy, and here's one of the good reasons why. I ask you how we're going to preserve our sport. How are we going to save hunting? And most of you will tell me in that survey that we need to recruit more hunters. We need to get more people out there hunting, getting involved in preserving the habitat, and particularly, and many of you already know this, funding conservation. We're going to get deep into all of that, as well as kind of a go to school on how to recruit new hunters and keep them motivated with our two guests today from two organizations I'm very familiar with, from Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. Ashley Chance joins me. She's their national R3 expert. We'll explain that in a minute. And then from the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the coordinator of the Plus One initiative. I remember when that started. Justin Morrisey joins me. Welcome to you both, Ashley and Justin.
Great to be here, Scott. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
It's my pleasure to have you both, and looking forward to learning as well as helping other people learn about how all this works. And the first thing maybe is that, Ashley, since it's in your kind of in your title, what is R3?
Well, R3 is a term, an all-encapsulating term that encompasses recruiting, retaining, and reactivating hunters. This emerged as a concept in a field just a couple decades ago, so it's relatively new, but coincided with the decline in hunter numbers and a desire to see that trend reverse. So it's really just any effort to bring people into the fold for the first time or bring them back.
Justin, I remember back in the day, one of your colleagues back in the day said, "Hey, we want to do something with you. Would you make a bird hunting show?" And I said, "Why?" "Well, we want to get more people bird hunting." That has since morphed into all sorts of things, including Plus One. Can you explain that organization, that effort to us?
Yes, absolutely. So the Plus One initiative is a mentorship recruitment initiative led by NSSF. We partner with over a dozen organizations in the industry who all specialize in different niches within hunting and the shooting sports. And essentially, we're just trying to do outreach in general for leaders in communities who want to get involved and serve a greater purpose and serve their communities by getting more people involved in hunting the shooting sport. So it's pretty much as simple as that, Scott.
Yeah, easy for us to say. Let me just touch, because I've been involved in it from day one. We have to do this for a couple reasons, and I'll ask you for some more details on that. But hey, the population is aging. Some people just die, so they're not hunting anymore. Other people can't anymore for physical reasons, or they go to video games, gardening, or even, God forbid, golf instead of hunting. Ashley, what do you see as some of the other contributing factors to the need to recruit new hunters?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's multifaceted, kind of like you alluded to. We've experienced significant population growth. So the number of people in our country is much greater today than it was in the 1980s. And coincident with that, a lot of people have aged out, as you said, and haven't successfully replaced themselves. And even if they had successfully replaced themselves, the proportion of people that hunted would be down just by virtue of the population increase. So I think it's a lot of things. Most of our population resides in urban city centers where they may not have great access to hunting or just not exposure. I think a big part of this has to do with a lack of exposure, people growing up in settings or families that don't hunt or don't have, aren't spending that kind of time outside. And so it's just not something that's right there in front of them as children. And then they grow up and, I mean, there's a reason my job exists, right? It's difficult to become a hunter if you're not one already, if you weren't, raised in a family like that. So, there's a lot of reasons why, which is there's a lot of strategies for turning it around.
And it's funny because I remember way back when some of the first reports were coming out, a lot of the reasons people stopped hunting is they could not find a place to hunt. Justin, is that still a big challenge?
Yes, absolutely. It absolutely is. And I think that that kind of speaks on behalf of the Plus One initiative also, and why that exists now is because we realize that not any one organization or company or individual has the means to provide that access. I mean, even with our public lands that are available and the public ranges that are available and private ranges that are available for people to go shooting, there are still challenges. And so that's why we're partnering with all the organizations through Plus One, including Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever, is so that, they can serve that audience. And we want to expand those opportunities for people to get integrated with organizations like Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever. And we understand that, we can't solve the world's problems or this R3 problem on our own. We really need to lean on meaningful partnerships and do them in a really good way, strategic way that ultimately serves the end user, and hopefully, like that you addressed, helps to shift that lifestyle challenge. The pre-existing lifestyles that, as you said, everyone's on their devices. There are plenty of distractions in the world. If you talk to anybody these days, everyone pretty much says, I'm really busy. And I think what we're trying to do together here as an industry through our three efforts is really just get people to understand the value in getting in the outdoors and maybe finding some simplicity and some peace, outdoors, away from those devices that tend to keep us indoors and distracted all the time.
It's funny, and I will editorialize for just a moment on this because I'm in a lot of ways I'm the poster child, not only for a recruiter to look at, but also when NSSF came to me and said, hey, make Wing Shooting USA, the TV show people how fun and gratifying and exciting it can be to go bird hunting. And that is still the challenge today, isn't it, Ashley? How do you do that?
Yeah, well, so there's actually a lot of research that has gone into this, how to bring somebody from not a hunter or shooter to being one. And it's a journey. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, if anybody takes anything away from at least my part in this conversation today, it would be to understand that someone becoming a hunter is a journey. It's not something that happens in a day or, an event, a singular event. But I think that, initially there is awareness, like we talked about, so just being aware that it's something that exists that you can do, and then someone having interest in it and giving it a try, whether that be through an organized Learn to Hunt or Learn to Shoot event that an organization puts on, or honestly, better yet, if they know someone who is a hunter and they go out and try it with a person that they trust, a mentor, and then they decide whether or not it's for them and whether they want to continue. And there's a lot that goes into that decision, of course. And a big one being access, like we already talked about. Yeah. Do they have a place to go? Do they understand how to navigate it? Do they have access to the equipment? To a dog, in this case, is very helpful, obviously. And then do they have support? At that point, it becomes about, they're going to run into challenges. Everyone does. And so do they have support to help navigate those challenges and work through them? If not, it's unlikely. It's the rare case that somebody overcomes all that on their own.
Yeah, and that's before we talk about some of the others. And I made a podcast host pretty upset one time when I talked about some of the other barriers we have and how some of the recruitment efforts may be better devoted to other target audiences, but we won't go into that. I want to ask Justin, if you will, please, to explain what happens and how it happens, and why we need to bring new hunters and shooters into the fold vis-a-vis funding conservation.
Yeah, so when it comes to the benefits of each individual getting involved in hunting and shooting sports, not only is there a direct benefit for that individual who goes out and recreates and enjoys, those activities with family, friends, and others, and it's really just a very rewarding thing individually. But another thing to note is that on the conservation side of things, anybody who is involved in fishing, hunting, shooting sports using certain fishing tackle and firearms, ammunition, the manufacturers of those products, they pay an excise tax through the Pittman-Robertson Fund or the Wildlife Restoration Act. And that is an 11% tax on wholesale price for long guns, ammunition, and a 10% tax on wholesale price for handguns. And so essentially by you purchasing firearms and ammunition and fishing tackles, also on the Dingle Johnson side of things, you are contributing to conservation simply by participating. You help the funding model, and you help to fund the state biologists who go out and do conservation projects on your public lands, and you help fund the systems that allow us to have a licensing system and to make smart decisions on species management for game species management. And not only that, but those efforts that go into helping game species also benefit the general wildlife around us. So bald eagles, for example, the songbirds you see in your front yard, and beyond, endangered species. Like, there's a lot of effort that goes in, and not a lot of people know that hunters and target shooters who purchase those products to go out and enjoy those activities are actually contributing to one of the biggest contributing funds for those conservation efforts.
Yeah, and I remember I was on a committee a while back in our own state wildlife agency, where I was gobsmacked at the amount. I mean, at that point in time, 80% of the wildlife management budget for my state came from Pittman-Robertson money. And it varies depending on a lot of things, including how many hunters are in each state, because that's how the money is doled out. But people don't understand that, license fees, they help. Some folks have another tax of one sort or another, Minnesota, Missouri, for example. But for the most part, Pittman-Robertson money is the money that fuels your wildlife management programs at the state level. And that just blew me away. However,
and
go
Scott,
ahead.
I want to mention too that since it was established, since the Wildlife Restoration Trust Fund was established in 1937, the firearm and ammunition industry alone, right? Not even counting the Dingle Johnson Act funds that come on the fishing side of things. Just Pittman-Robertson and the Wildlife Restoration Trust alone has generated over $17 billion in excise taxes that essentially benefits the public overall, not just hunters and target shooters.
So everybody, next time you get into a discussion with one of those other groups, ask them if they've ever topped 17 billion. But that's another discussion for another day. By the way, Dingle Johnson would be a great name for a pop band. Ashley, I know that you can write that one down. By the way, how do you do this? I mean, tell us how Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. I was there when the decision was made, by the way, on QF. How are you doing it? What do you find your primary tasks on any given month?
Well, so big picture, the best tool that I believe I can speak to the larger archery community. The best tool that we've found for moving people along this journey is community. And to give them that community support, try to essentially simulate what a family historically would have provided. And so our approach as an organization is to try to emulate that through our chapters. So our chapters are definitely our primary delivery mechanism for our programs, our Learn to Hunt and Learn to Shoot programs. They host hundreds of these programs across the country every year. And that's really our bread and butter is those events, getting people to come to them, attend, learn something at the event, have a first or an early experience with hunting or shooting, and then be plugged into that chapter so that as they move along, they encounter barriers, they have questions, they have somewhere to take them.
And you're on maybe the 30,000 foot level, Justin, with Plus One. How are you moving the needle with the organizations that you work with? Are you trying to get them to do something in particular?
Yeah, so great question. And I think Ashley and what she said kind of answers that also. So because Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, we're actually in the process of establishing a partnership with them right now. And what she just said about that community level access opportunity, that is essentially what we've been trying to, how we've been trying to approach it. I go to church and I hear our pastor say, to change the world, start at home. And I know that's not original from him, but it's that general idea that, if we really want to change the world, we can't start at a national level. We have to start at a community level and make sure that, everybody has a really good community support system that allows us all to have that access, whether it's, actually land to hunt on or someone to reach out to and to rely on for information and the insights and to, just have a conversation with to learn more. Because I was lucky to have, we probably all of us, you asking me, all have parents and families who kind of just established the lifestyle, ingrained that in us growing up. I've been hunting for my whole life, basically, for 20 plus years, and have been very fortunate. And I always take it for granted, what I have and what I do. And the more I get involved and the more I do on our R3 side of things through Plus One and our working with partners, the more you realize the separation and the challenges that other people have. The more research you see, the more you see wow, I'm very blessed to have what I have. And, instead of me letting my ego get in the way, which I know happens with a lot of hunters, where it becomes a pursuit and there's the side of things of, I have to represent myself in a great way. I have to become the mighty hunter. And, how do I make myself feel, I don't know, I guess, fulfilled in my life with my identity as a hunter. And what I found is, I think I'm further along than most other people my age when it comes to this, but what matters most in the end is what you give back to everybody else. It's that legacy of, all of my deer mounts, all of my stories, they're going to fade in time. And what we can do right now is reach out and help our neighbors learn about the passion we have for conservation and hunting and the sport. And so that's essentially my personal take on it and the professional side of things when it comes to the approach.
Well, and it's very inspiring to hear that. First off, number two, way back in the day when I was still making a radio show for Field and Stream magazine, I interviewed one of your former leaders over there, Steve Sinetti, back when he was the president of NSSF. And I asked him a question that I ended up asking of every industry leader I ever got to. And I said, what is the most gratifying aspect of what you do in the field? And to a person, I don't care what what industry category they were in. At some point, if they were avid hunters, they would say, teaching somebody else to hunt. And you summed it up just right. It is a legacy, and I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but it does start there. And in the old days, it used to be fathers. Fathers were the ones who turned kids into hunters. Now we have to have surrogate fathers of one sort or another. Ashley, you talked about community and how that works in your chapters, and we're going to get deeper into that on a more micro level in the second half of the program. I would like us to go to school on individual hunters who are listening who want to help recruit new hunters. So that'll be coming up in the second half of the program. We'll also have the Fix It segment with a shooting tip that requires you to do what I do, which is stop thinking most of the time. Ashley and Justin will be back with us as well after a word from Purina Pro Plan Sport dog food. No matter what age your dog, what needs they have nutritionally, they've got a formulation for you in the Pro Plan Sport lineup. All of them are 100% complete and balanced nutrition for highly active dogs. I like the high protein aspect. Real meat is the first ingredient. In that meat are the amino acids that nourish muscles, especially helping those muscles recover after exercise. Learn more about the science behind the nutrition. Go to ProPlansport.com. Hey, tell them I sent you. And then speaking of sending, did you miss out on the Father's Day sale at sageandbreaker.com? Well, don't worry. Get in on the mailing list and you won't miss all the new products are coming down the road. Choke tube cases, shotgun shell cases, ready sometime later this summer. You'll hear about it before everybody else. You'll have first crack at those new products. That's number one on the list. Go to sageandbreaker.com, sign up for the email list. Watch some of the videos. They're probably the most detailed and helpful videos on how to take care of your shotgun. It's all at sageandbreaker.com. Welcome back to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden. On your right channel, that'll be Ashley Chance from Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. On your left channel, that'll be Justin Morrisey from the Plus One program at the National Shooting Sports Foundation. We're here to talk about recruiting new hunters because that is critical to our sport and to the habitat. We talked a lot of, kind of more macro subjects in the first half of the podcast. In the second half, I want a tutorial for all of us, and I'm going to start it off because I've got some real strong feelings about how this works. The first thing I would think is, hey, if somebody asks you on Monday morning at work, hey, how was your weekend? And you say, oh, me and the dog went out, we did this, noise, smoke, adrenaline rush, bang, bang. And they're interested after you say that, they might be a candidate. Ashley, what do you think? How do we start out identifying a potential recruitee, mentee?
A mentee, yeah. Somebody interested in getting started in hunting. Well, I think the biggest thing is first to look within your network, your social circles. So your church, or your place of worship, other parents whose kids go to the same school or in the same sporting events as you, people you work with, like you said. I think you don't have to look far, probably, to find somebody who's interested. I think the biggest thing is to talk about hunting in a way that is emotionally intelligent. Mm-hmm. I think that's really, really important for people who are new to that scene, who it's not just something that's second nature to them. Most people are approving of hunting if it's for the right reasons as perceived by them. So I think how we talk about hunting is very important, especially with people who are not already a part of the inner circle, so to speak. And I think also understanding that a lot of people, especially adults that come to hunting now, are motivated by different factors. So for some people, a big thing is time with family, right? Time spent outdoors, quality time with family. So you can talk about how much you enjoyed taking your son or daughter or your wife or husband out for the first time. Or, just how you enjoyed spending time with them. Other people, it's about the food, right? Locavore, trying to find healthy local sources of protein. So you can talk about the amazing meal that you prepared from the wild game that you harvested. Other people like to be self-sufficient. You can talk about that, or just spending time in nature, connecting. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just talking about your experience and talking about it in a way that's approachable.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm glad for the reminder, because immediately when you said that we need to talk about it in a certain way, I thought about body piles and on the tailgate, and I thought that's probably not the motivating factor for most possible potential hunters. It's about all that other stuff. And in fact, you hit on some of the ones that my followers tell me about every year in the survey. The other one in our world in particular is dogs. I'm convinced that dogs are the best ambassador for bird hunting you've ever seen, and try to use that as a lever, if you will. Justin, tell me a little bit about how we go from that to getting somebody, making the ask and getting somebody to try it once.
Yeah. So from a mentor standpoint, you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the key for me, I can talk on this from a more of a structured way on the plus one side, and then also on a personal, in a personal way. And what I find is if there's ever anybody who shows interest to you as a hunter, just know that the term expert or mentor or guide or whatever term you want to use, teacher, those are all subjective terms, right? Mm-hmm. They're titles that we assign to people, and the reality is that we are all capable of doing that. And we need to all allow ourselves to have credit and give credit to ourselves, not feel that imposter syndrome. The main thing is with hunting is you're learning if you're out doing it.
Yeah.
So you can learn a lot online, but the reality is you can be book smart and go out and not know what you're doing at all. You need to go out and do it. So if somebody approaches you, don't expect anybody else to help that person. We ask you to step up and, be that person who can just maybe take them a step further, get out, bring them to the shooting range, bring them out, small game hunting, bring them out to just walk along on a hunt. Even from a private landowner standpoint, if you own land or if you know somebody owns land, there's a right way to go about it, a right mentality when it comes to sharing access to hunting properties. There's the idea that, I think that a lot of people are very, very guarded over their properties that they can hunt.
Yeah.
But I am a private landowner, and I know many private landowners, and I let folks come out. Anytime somebody says that they're interested, I always say, oh, you should come out and deer hunt on my land. You can go out with me. I'll film your hunt. We'll go shoot a doe. I'll teach you from start to finish how to hunt, how to read the sign, the deer behavior. We'll get a deer. Essentially, it's a field to fork deer hunt. Learn to hunt, but it's the privatized version. So I just want to remind people that you don't need to just write off anybody or fend off your properties or your land. You can define what access means for your property. It doesn't mean it's not black or white, yes or no. It can be, yes, I allow people to come out, but I'm only going to allow them to come out if I'm the mentor with them, and they can only do X, Y, and Z. So it's a very property-specific regulations almost that you define yourself. And so just keep that in mind as you are perceiving yourself as a mentor, that you can define the rules and for your own properties and for the way you do things. And then on the organization side of it, more of the structured, systematic side, I would point people to the chapters, just like Ashley said. You know, if you want to get involved, hey, you know, maybe I don't have enough bandwidth to get you out there, but hey, go check out your local Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever chapter.
Yeah.
There are mentors there. There are leaders there who are passionate and they want to make a difference for the future of the sport. Go check them out. Get involved. And that's the best way for both on the mentor side and mentee side. You know, if you're a mentor, go talk to the chapter leaders, see what you can do, maybe set up a program, a curriculum to help people learn. And if you're wanting to learn more or get involved, hey, go join this community of people who just loves it so passionately that they're willing to take time out of their week to go to an event and to be involved.
You know, I got to jump in right there because you've hit on so many things. First off, virtually everything you just said applies to public land as well. You may be sharing it with somebody else, but you can still do all the things that you described, Justin, on most public land most of the time, in addition to any special access somebody has. The other thing that got me going on that was how everybody, when I was learning to be a teacher, the guys who taught me to teach reminded me that people learn in different ways. And so whether we know how they're going to learn or not, or whether we think we're qualified to teach, we probably are, even if all we do is show an example of one sort or another. All of that said, Ashley, what are the biggest objections somebody has to becoming a mentor in the world of hunting?
Yeah, well, I think time, right?
Yeah.
Like Justin was saying before, time is limited for all of us. I know a lot of people struggle to find the time to be in the field themselves in the degree that they would like to. So time is a valid and common constraint. And the other one typically is finding somebody to mentor and then the access issue, right? Like there's not enough places to go or I don't know where to take them. Those are the big ones that I hear a lot of.
Yeah. You know, I'm sorry, but it was the poster child back in the day. When we started, one of the things we pushed a lot was, okay, if you can't find a piece of public ground, maybe you can find a piece of private ground and basically pay for admission, whether it's a hunting preserve or just a trespass fee or something like that. So there are all sorts of ways to do all that. But we still see people who are reluctant to get involved as a teacher of one sort or another. What would you tell somebody who's got an excuse or 5 excuses, or particularly this one? You mentioned it. You know, there's only 2 days in a weekend. I'm going to hunt every one of those days. I don't want to be involved with some other guy, some other gal. It doesn't matter. I don't even take my kids. And I'll just interject. Hold that thought. I interviewed a bunch of folks for a magazine piece I did a while back, and it was called Regrets. And one of the regrets that kept coming up was exactly what I just described. Man, I got great dogs. I got great ground. I don't want anybody getting in the way of all of that, including, oh my God, that kid just grew up and I wasn't there for him. What else can we tell people that will get them involved? Ashley?
Well, I mean, it's a decision that everyone has to make for themselves, obviously. But for me, so I'll just give an example. My husband, well, let me back up. For the last decade, give or take, we have subsisted almost exclusively on wild game in our household. We bought bacon. That's about it. Mostly venison and birds, and that's how we fed ourselves. We were skilled deer hunters. We process them ourselves. The freezer is thankfully always full. We live in the Southeast where it's not difficult to fill your freezer if you are of a mind to.
Okay, don't be rubbing it in.
Well, there's other issues that come along with that we have to live with. But a couple months ago, my husband was diagnosed with alpha-gal. And so now he can't eat any mammal products, which essentially means our whole family can't eat any mammal products. And we're still navigating this.
Oh, yeah.
But it's impacted our food security, our family culture, and our identity in a massive way, just out of left field. And our kids, like 2 months ago, my 4-year-old daughter didn't know what a chicken nugget was. She didn't know what it was. And I don't say that to brag, like, look how great we are, but that's just how we ate. And now this whole, we're both wildlife biologists. I've studied deer in graduate school. This is something that's really central to our family. And now we're grappling with, well, I guess I'm just going to teach the kids how to deer hunt, and we'll just shoot one a year and make jerky out of it, and Dad won't eat any. Like, we don't know what that's going to look like. But all of this is to say, being able to hunt and having all the associated things you need to do it successfully was a gift that I was given. It's something that I've put a lot of effort into and I've worked for as well, but I was given the stage on which to be successful by other people and other factors in my life, and everyone doesn't have that gift. Everyone isn't provided with that. And so if it's something that you treasure and it's something that you care about and is a part of your identity, just recognize other people aren't that lucky. And so, what would it mean? Kind of like Justin was talking about with a legacy, what would it mean to share that gift with somebody? You don't have to devote your life to it. You could spend a Saturday doing it, and then wherever they take it is up to them. But what would that mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy, that's too bad for all of you. That is that tick-based disease. Am I correct?
Yeah, so it's, yes, you can get it from ticks, potentially chiggers now, folks are thinking, but yeah.
Yikes. Well, good luck on that as you weave your way through who knows what kind of a jungle there. Justin, you might be the right guy to ask. I think the +1 program is, number one, great. Number two, it is really a kind of I guess I'll call it a clearinghouse, a resource source. What are some of the things we can utilize from you folks, and how do we access those tools?
Yeah, so the resources that we have available, there are many different things, but I would say from a starting point, you can go to letsgohunting.org or letsgoshooting.org, and you can find a lot of tips on all kinds of types of hunting and shooting sports, and we're expanding this pretty aggressively right now, actually. I actually was talking to Ashley just this morning, and we're wanting to get more of an upland pheasant, quail, and we're working with the Rough Grouse Society also. We want to basically have like you said, a clearinghouse for that information, and we want to partner with the subject matter experts who really truly lead the way when it comes to those specific types of hunting and shooting sports activities. So you can go to those websites and you can find all sorts of written material and videos. And we have other resources like our Where to Shoot app, where you can find local ranges. And we're expanding more and more and more with more tools and resources. And you can also find the +1 information and get integrated as a mentor. So if you're interested in mentoring, we have essentially created a mentor recruitment model where you sign up to be a +1 mentor, and you'll learn. You'll basically see a portfolio of the different organizations that offer learn to hunt programs, learn to shoot programs, and you can pick and choose which one you would want to support. And there may be one already in your local community, or maybe there's an opportunity for you to start something. But we want to help facilitate that and really just make sure everyone's aware of those opportunities to, step up and be a leader in your community. So that's also on letsgohunting.org and letsgoshooting.org, on the +1 side of things. So, and there's a lot more coming. It's pretty exciting with all our partners, what they can offer. And we're really excited to see how things expand here in the next couple of years.
All well and good. I love all of that. And thank you both for your hard work. Sometimes it's a lot less formal than all of that. I recommend almost everybody, they come to me and say, I want a dog just like yours. Well, have you had one before? No. Well, why don't you go to, a few training days for your local dog club and learn about all the breeds and learn about what's involved in the commitment to a dog, etc. Training days or chapter meetings or anything else are, again, another great way for somebody who's brand new to just learn more about the sport. And in the learning, somebody's going to come up and tug at your coat and say, what kind of dog you got? Oh, I don't have one yet. Are you a hunter? I want to be. So it can be as informal as that. And it sometimes is the right way for some potential mentors to kind of open the discussion. What about, I'll call them, for lack of a better term, statutory, legislative, regulatory opportunities? And the first one I'm thinking of, there's a lot of states that have apprentice hunter programs, for example, which are a great boon because you can take kids who maybe haven't done all the things they need to do as long as they're escorted correctly. Anything else like that, Ashley, that you can think of that we might want to take advantage of?
Yeah, I mean, apprentice programs apply in a lot of states to adults as well.
Yeah.
So the parameters typically could include that. So kids, adults, for sure. I mean, I know here in Tennessee we have Free Fishing Day every year.
Yeah.
Which same kind of opportunity on the fishing side. I don't know. I think the biggest thing is really just putting it out there and then being willing to bring somebody along. One thing we didn't talk about, Justin talked a lot about not feeling like you need to be an expert, which I just want to underline and bold. To be a mentor, you don't need to be an expert. You need to be able to go hunting safely and legally, and that's it. To be able to show somebody else how to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. And then another thing too that I would touch on is just, it can be very intimidating coming from the outside looking in. And so there may be people that are in your social circle who really, really would love to do this, but are afraid to ask or intimidated by asking. Even if they like you, they trust you, they think you're great. It's a big ask, right? It's a very personal thing. So I think being generous with offers and offering repeatedly is probably the biggest thing.
I love that. You're absolutely right. And it makes all the sense in the world. Some people, they see a certain side of what we do, and we talk a good game about, oh, I love being alone up there with my thoughts and my dog and to hell with everybody else. But we don't really mean that. I mean, we're okay with sharing the field sometimes. Justin, do you have anything in the way of a last bit of advice? If we're taking somebody to school, we're on the last day of the semester, we've gone to school on how to be a good hunter, recruiter, mentor, whatever you want to call it. What else would you offer up as a final recommendation?
Yeah, I would say this. Don't let the current culture of hunting define your culture of hunting. My mindset around the culture of hunting over the last 20, 30 years is, I think a lot of the more mainstream hunting channels that people can follow, a lot of what people see really, really highlights the the trophy side of things. And I just want to say that, there are the 5 stages of a hunter, which are defined by Boone and Crockett Club is the shooter stage, limiting out stage, trophy stage, method stage, and then the sportsman stage. And the sportsman stage, which is the last stage, is very centric around helping others and being about, I guess you're advocating for the sport more so than any of the other stages. So keep that in mind when over all this time, and we've identified that those 5 stages and that ending stage of the sportsman stage, it's typically how it flows. I would say, I think it's safe for us to assume that the wisest of hunters and target shooters and the sportsmen end up feeling at the end like they wish they could have given back more or that they should do more. And I would just like to say that from my perspective, an expert hunter isn't somebody necessarily who it's not only defined by someone who can go out and successfully hunt every single time and harvest some game. An expert hunter is somebody who knows about, is willing, for one, willing to put in the effort to help others, and two, effectively teach others. Because it's one thing if you can do it effectively, it's another thing to sit behind somebody else and help them do it effectively. So I would just like to say that as a final note from me. Try, if you're looking to grow in hunting and you want to become an expert hunter, what we can all strive for is to become better teachers. And that's all for me.
Well said. I'm air clapping right now for you. Ashley, the school bell just rang. Kids are going away for the summer. If you're going to leave them with some parting wisdom about them applying their newfound skills of recruiting and retaining hunters, what would you tell them as parting words?
Oh gosh, well, it's hard to follow Justin. But I think, in all seriousness, and on maybe a little bit lighter note, summer is the best time to recruit new hunters. It's low pressure. It's not your peak season, so presumably maybe you could eke out a little bit of time to take somebody out shooting, to even go scouting and talk about here's food, here's cover, here's why their location matters in relation to each other. I think summer is the time to do it. It's once the season begins, once the end of September rolls around, early October, it's guns blazing. Everybody's out there. You have your targets that you want to do, and that's a hard time to try to find somebody and get them up to speed. Frankly, it's too late in that season, in my opinion. So, if you're leaving school for the summer or whatever, if the summer is upon us, we're just over the halfway point here, past the summer solstice. This is a great time to try to find somebody to start imparting skills, get them to take their hunter safety course now. And then when fall does come, or even early winter, you can take them out, a couple times and show them the rope.
Great, incredible, and absolutely wisdom. That's Ashley Chance. She's the Hunting Heritage Programs Manager for Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. Also on the line with us, Justin Morrisey. He directs the social media at the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Plus One program. Both great resources for you no matter, even if you're not a member, they'll be happy to help you in any way they can. It's been an enlightening and very useful discussion. Ashley, Justin, thanks so much for being a part of the Upland Nation podcast.
Thank you,
Thanks
Scott.
for having us.
Oh, and the rest of you, don't go away, because I'm still going to kind of give you my best shooting tip. Yeah, it's easy for me. Stop thinking. But that's, I'll explain what I'm talking about coming up in the next portion of the Upland Nation podcast, brought to you by TrulockChokes.com. That's TruLock, TrulockChokes.com. I rave about my sub-gauge guns and the fun I have with those. And if you're going that way, and boy, it surprises me how many people tell me they are. We talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago. They've got choke tubes for all of you, and that is the coolest thing about it. You can find your choke tubes real simply. Just go to their, they got an interchange list on the website, match your gun to their list, figure out what gauge you want, what you're looking for in the way of constrictions and performance. It's easy peasy. Sign up for their emails. You'll get notified on any sales, other promotions. There's always something added value coming down the pike from TrulockChokes.com. And shooting better. Yeah, it's my obsession. I need all the help I can get. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But one of the things that helped me dramatically beyond great choke tubes is a HiViz sight. That interlocking light pipe system lets me see the muzzle in my mind without having to focus on it. I can focus on the moving target. And you put the two together, it's a complicated geometry problem, but if you have the right tools, it's not so tough anymore. You'll never lose the bead while on the target. Success comes shot after shot. Go to HiVizSights.com. Well, let's fix it. One of the simplest ways to make your shooting better is to practice, practice, practice. Perfect practice, of course, is what makes perfect. And so you want to do that. And you want to do that a lot. And let me just give you a sports analogy. You know, whether you're casting a fly rod, learning to play a guitar, those aren't sports. Yeah, I guess they are. Or shooting baskets, hitting a golf ball. All those things don't come to you, well, unless you're really lucky. They don't come to you overnight. You got to practice. Refine your hand-eye coordination. Drill down so that all of those things become natural. The reason is, in the heat of the battle, dog goes on point, the bird gets up. You can't think about, oh, where are my feet? Where's the gun? How do I bring it to my cheek? And when do I pull the trigger? You can't do all that. There's just not time. And by the way, it boogers up the rhythm. So practice carefully enough in advance so you don't think about your shooting when it's time to shoot. It's as simple as that. Michael Jordan does it. Ricky Fowler does it. All the great athletes have refined their skills to the point where they're doing it without thinking about it. Well, shooting is a sport as well. Consider not thinking by practicing more. Hope that helps get you to fetch. Can't think of a better sponsor for that segment than Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School. MidValleyClays.com is where you learn more about their incredible assortment of Browning shotguns. A lot more field-grade guns than you'd think. And many of them are just as applicable for sporting clays. Yeah, if you're looking for a new shotgun, start with Dave Fiedler at MidValleyClays.com. Call him up. Talk about what your needs are, what kind of hunting you do. Maybe you want to do some shooting at the target range as well. He'll have some questions and some answers for you that you may not have considered yourself. Once you're ready to buy, they can ship anywhere. Make Dave Fiedler your shotgun guru. Go to MidValleyClays.com. Well, thank you, Ashley Chance and Justin Morrisey. Learned a lot, got quite inspired, and I hope some of you all out there did as well. Yeah, this is a great time to start identifying and thinking about how to slowly, gradually bring people into our sport. Thank you to everybody who's offered suggestions and comments at the social platforms. Great stuff there. I always learn from you, and I hope you do the same. You can always visit that 24/7, 365. There's something there for everybody. If you left a rating, or you will, I appreciate that. Thank you in advance. And thank you to our sponsors who make all of this possible. RuffLand, Dog Kennels, Purina Pro Plan Sport, Dog Food, Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, and your Browning dealer. TrulockChokes tubes, Pointer shotguns, Sage and Breaker gun care products, and HiViz shooting systems. Those new short format, great dog work videos that I call social shorts are now up at the FindBirdHuntingSpots.com website, as well as some fresh written material. I'll see you there. Until next time, I'm Scott Linden. Thanks for listening to the Upland Nation Podcast.